everybody to DMA Untamed. Today we have an all-star team of women-only panel to our unapologetic session of women breaking barriers in their different spaces. So before I start, I am Modhoni, and I would like my two guests to introduce themselves. I'll start with the lady on the left.
Hi everyone, my name is Shalom. I like to call myself a creative strategist and a product maestro, and I'll get more into that later.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, product maestro. Eish. My names are Soila Mayani. No English names are included. And I like to call myself a creative, be it in the digital space or in the traditional sense. And yeah.
Thank you very much.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. It's happy to be here with you. So I would want you to tell us a little bit about what you do in this creative marketing, tech, advertising space. I don't know. Tell us a little bit about it. Shalom.
All right. So I work for Diamond Trust Bank. Mm-hmm. I am in the marketing team and I lead products, channels, innovations, and some projects.
Wow. Listen to that.
So a lot of tech, a lot of craziness, and a lot of high delivery times and everything. But yeah, that's what I generally do. So I work with a team that handles product marketing, maybe in the retail sector, in the corporate sector. So our team is split into those types of groupings. Okay. So for me, I deal a lot with getting our apps out there, getting our new platforms, our partnerships with fintechs out there. So, and of course, I am a certified growth hacker.
Wow. What does that mean?
So basically, since I work with closely with fintechs, I have to find cheap ways of growing the acquisition and retention numbers.
Maybe we call it affordable.
Yeah? Affordable ways.
Yeah.
I think I don't like affordable because of affordable housing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who hurt you?
Yeah, but I have to figure out different ways to get products to market. Mm-hmm. And that entails me reading a lot and looking for different strategies to just find the most affordable way for us to win.
Fantastic. Soila, what about you?
Well, my current position is actually a DigiTribe. I'm a content manager from Ogilvy, but then now under the scope of DigiTribe for EABL. And my role is actually sharing the stories that brands would love to connect with our markets. So that entails like now coming into the spaces of events planning. That comes the spaces of now understanding what exactly our consumers would actually love to relate with, be it from movies and films, art, design, the whole enchilada, all of them. And see how we can also like build our brand story to reflect their relevance with ours.
So what does it take to be a content creator in DigiTribe and such a huge organization as EABL?
That is a very good question. I would say from my experience is that you need to understand what kind of visual element you want to actually showcase to your audience. Say for case in point, if you want to have a brand like Gordon's, right? For Gordon's is more into film spaces and more music and fashion. So when we want to plug ourselves into such environments, we also want to understand what kind of languages are going to be speaking into how are they actually showing up to these spaces. So now advertising in that kind of manner, in a visual element, be it in videos, be it in photos, even down to the audios, that storytelling needs to be so mapped out, but then not to the point where it's not relevant or easy or distinctive to understand. Because the whole aspects of actually storytelling is to connect with people. And the more you actually connect with people, the more loyalty and understanding that people can actually relate with.
Thank you. I think that's. I'll come back to that last thing that you've talked about, but I want to hear a little bit more about Shalom. So Shalom, you talked about being in innovations. That sounds like a very male-dominated industry. How do you position yourself in all that as a woman?
Of course, it's a male-dominated industry, but I have been in a male-dominated industry before. I was a creative in agency world. So for a long time, I've worked with all-male teams. So, like for example, the biggest team I've helped run is a 16-man team with one woman. So for me, navigating through our innovations teams is not really difficult because I've had to deal with it before. But again, what makes me, from a personal perspective, what makes me want to be in those spaces is because from when I was young, I was taught, I grew up with an older brother.
Okay.
So my grandma would always tell us, what he can do, you can do better. And it started as a joke. And I was like, so every time a man challenges me and tells me, like, oh, this what you've done, your strategy is wrong. And not just a man, but anyone challenges me. It gives me more zeal to go for it. So for me, it's always when someone says, I remember one gentleman who was hiring me, a creative director, told me, your work wasn't that good, but your confidence was.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, okay, thank you. So that's
so you faked it till you made it.
Till I made it. But that's what I do. Like if I get into a room and they're speaking a language that I don't understand, for example, they're speaking about coding and whatnot. Next day I'm on ChatGPT and I'm like, what does it mean when they say JSS?
Oh my.
And I start learning and teaching myself a bit of what they know so that when I enter that room, next time I'm more confident in myself.
Is that what gets you ahead? Yes. Because I feel like many people are okay with just bare minimum, huh? Just living their lives with what I am here to just do my job and live, There is no, you can't go further. I don't know.
You have to want more for yourself. And that's what I believe. Like, I'm self-taught in everything. I studied international relations.
No way.
International relations were a thing.
And then you are in a creative team,
agency.
and now you're in innovation in a bank.
And then I got to the level of even creative director. I was an associate creative director.
Okay.
And for me, it was always like, how do I do that? I remained inquisitive throughout my life. From when I was a kid. Like if I saw a stone, I'd be going to my parents, like, how was this made? I want to understand how it was made. Once I understand, I'm like, okay, then it's easy for me to pass the geography. Because when we do rocks from 1 or 2, I can't remember. But so you must want more for yourself. And right now we're in a digital world where all these courses, you can find free courses everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you wake up today and you feel like, you know what, I want to pause my career in, let's say, content creation and move into financial analyst, you can because the resources are there.
Yeah.
But if you enter a team and you're just like me, I'll do what I was employed to do, you won't get far. You have to be able to push for wanting more and bettering yourself every day.
Soila, have you had such experiences?
100%, every single moment. Because given the fact it's a very competitive field in marketing, you're all competing for attention. So you're not actually hunting to get to be the better than, not only for yourself, but also for, even for the market itself.
Kwanzaa, we are all content creators nowadays. What's so different about you, Like, what's so different about Soila? Like, why you, Is it that extra edge that you've given yourself? What is that? Yeah?
Well, I wouldn't want to allow me to reconstruct my sentence.
No, that's okay.
So I don't see a difference between me and a content creator. Because content creators in itself, they're really deep in culture when it comes to creating a kind of content they actually want to communicate.
Yes.
And they have that freedom to actually express themselves according to their preferred storyline. They have multiple brands who associate with them. My job now is to see how can we amplify that same story.
Okay.
How can we marry all these influences through this whole narrative with the content that we want to create for the brand?
Okay.
Yes.
So yours is more like for a specific brand and looking at exactly what that brand needs, and then now picking what other people are doing as content creators out there and marrying it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because they're the same. It's a collaborative effort in the market, 100%. Because no man is an island. If you're working in a silo, bro, you're drowning. You're going to be drowning in a sea of confusion.
Yeah.
But as long as you actually understand what the strategy is from the consumer strategists over there who understand the whole journeys and stuff, and you actually understand what the consumer pain points are, and then what their brand objectives are, you're like, okay, fine. How do I want to communicate this brand story with all these resources that we actually have in our availability? And that's the whole challenge of marketing. How can I communicate our message to reach our market?
So how have you grown yourself in that industry?
Before I was actually at content management, I used to be a videographer and a photographer.
Oh, nice.
So I understood the visual element of storytelling, the rule of thirds and all that kind of whatnots matter. You have to stay like 180-degree angles. I had a passion. I still have it. So I have a passion for the visual element of storytelling because once you see something, it goes, oh my gosh, it looks so cool.
Yes,
Double tap.
Yes.
That's engagement right there in itself. Then I started to understand more about now the strategic plays and how you actually need to brand your message. Because before I used to work with only one brand. Now there's a plethora. Like, okay, so how do I retain different tones of voices and not get confused or actually get lost in the source? So that's the whole point of actually like this is what this story needs to be communicates. Just planning it all as much as you can with the teamwork that you actually have. Because again, you can't work in a silo. You can get lost in one particular tone of voice and then you see yourself replicating the same voice and be like, that's not us.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna get disconnected from the community you're building. Yeah.
So how is the team dynamics where you work?
The team dynamics.
Are there many more men, many more women? How is it?
It's a myriad of genders, I'm not gonna lie. But from my department as DigiTribe, we're actually quite inclusive. Okay. Very inclusive. So I haven't found like any elements of like there's more people doing what, unless of course it comes to particular roles. Say now I'm like the only female content manager in my department. But then also in Transversa, there's one guy who's one community manager, a senior community manager, and who's the only male in that whole entire post. So the diversity is actually balancing out at some point.
Fantastic. But how do you then differentiate yourself so that you can get to a position of leadership as a woman?
How do I differentiate myself?
Yes.
There's something that my mother always told me is actually just apply yourself. Step out there. Even my father has been very distinct, just continue pushing on. As much as everybody's communicating something different towards you, just you don't have to pick everything. But as much as you're in that space, you're learning how people are communicating, presenting yourselves, and also knowing exactly what you want to communicate in terms of your strategies, your ideas, and being a team player. Because I don't think if you want to be a leader, you can't lead by yourself.
Of course.
You need a whole support system.
Yes.
And if you actually validate them as much as you validate them and they validate you in your positions, then you continue to grow together.
Yes.
Ubuntu.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, looking at your industry that's heavily male dominated now, how do you include more women in that space? I think we heard about women bringing women onto the table, or women being each other's champions. I don't know how else to call that. Yeah. What are you thinking of it? Is it something you've done? How do you feel?
Yes, for sure. In the space, I mean, it's actually like a balance.
Okay.
Right? There's sort of a balance. However, when we move into the tech side of things, yes there's that disparity. But let me just throw in a few numbers.
Okay.
First. Hold up. Let me pull them up.
Yeah, please, by all means.
The gender gap in Kenya is at 68.4%. in the world, actually, the gender gap in the world is at 68.4%.
And in
We will
Kenya?
achieve gender parity in 131 years.
Oh my.
Yeah. So what I love about actually this previous month was International Women's Day, and they
Yes.
said, and it's all about the actions you're going to put aside for
Yes.
yourself to
Yes.
ensure you get to parity.
Yes.
For me is I've always had, even when in the creative world, I've always had mentees with me.
Okay.
So when I was a writer, I had a few writers that I was, and mostly female. Because again, in that industry, there were not too many women, right? And in this industry, for me, the one thing I try and do is instill a level of confidence in the women I work with. Because if you, the team I was in previously before this, we had a lot of ladies who've come from the branch side.
Oh, yeah?
And they have a certain way.
Yeah,
of-
there's already a culture.
yeah,
built.
there's a culture that's there, and it's a very timid culture.
Oh, wow.
It's not about stepping into your agency and stepping into your space and speaking your mind. So you find a lot of women who are reserved, and for me, I'm quite out there.
Bold.
So I pulled them up with me. I'm like, okay, you're an assistant manager. You should be able to speak this way, or speak to your boss, or go even above your boss and speak to your boss's boss. But you must also want it. That's
But how do you get to do that? Like, bosses, when I grew up in those years, bosses were like revered, I don't,
They still
I'm sure
are.
it has
They
changed
still are,
a
even
lot.
in our banking
yes.
sector. They still are.
So I kind of get them when they're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to go above my boss and my boss's boss?
But then
you've
that's
been
stepping
hired
on people's
feet.
feet. No, you're not stepping on anyone. You're taking your own agency. You're not stepping on anyone's. There's room for everyone here.
Okay.
Men, women, everyone. There's room. For me, what I say is, you see your boss, when you look at him like a god, that's when you have reverence for your boss. That's sort of wrong for me.
Okay.
What you need to do is respect your boss, because he is an expert in his field, but he also hired you as an expert in your little. It might not be as big as his, but in your little field. Take ownership of your field. So you are the expert who's running a particular system in an app, for example. You should be able to go and advise your boss and tell your boss that this is breaking down because of this. You can't be timid, because that's your baby.
So this is what we are saying, own
your
our
space,
space unapologetically.
And
Isn't that it?
That's 100% it, actually. Because the more you seek that the information you're looking, you're actually trying to better yourself. Not even trying, you are bettering yourself by stepping out of your comfort zone. You've been had as an expert for one particular field, but the more you actually expand your knowledge, you also expand your spaces. And the more reliable you are in more spaces, because you're gathering all this information. I actually relate with you, Shalom. Because when I was growing up as well, I was very curious to know what was going on. In fact, my mother would call me Kiherehere.
It's not the worst name, honestly.
It's not.
Yeah.
Because I was always hunting, exploring. I was never shy to actually ask those, as much as may be perceived as dumb questions. I'm gaining something.
Yeah.
If you know it and I didn't know it, at least now we're at par. To be honest. But now, the more you continue having this inquisitive nature, the curiosity, and then you're also sharing this with this, even this same podcast,
Carry people with you.
you carry on that information. The guys who have a platform when it comes to like now mentorship, the guys who do like public speaking, the guys who do motivational speeches, book writing. There's so many mediums to actually disseminate all this information.
Yes.
Just the question is, are you looking for them as well?
How do we intentionally look for them, Because there has to be some level of intentionality about that, eh?
There has to be intentionality, but on the flip side, they also must want it. That's the thing.
So the wanting it is what is key.
And you can, as a leader, you can see who wants it.
Yes.
Yeah. In the teams I've led before, I could see who wants to learn more, and I'd pour more into that person.
Yes.
And if they don't show me and they're more timid, then they won't, you have to. And actually, my boss spoke of this week, and she says, you can do amazing work.
Yes.
And you're never promoted, right? But you can do amazing work, and you tell people about the work you're doing, and you will be promoted before that other person.
we are very poor at writing our stories or telling our stories. This is why I decided that each of you has to talk about yourselves. I won't introduce any of you. But I believe that's like a very powerful statement. If you think about it, most people, especially women, are very afraid or timid to tell their stories. You feel like you're boasting. I don't know. Is it like you're boasting, or what is that stops us from telling those stories?
It's actually a cultural thing and an African thing, to be honest. And it's across the globe. It's not just in Kenya. It's called the tall poppy syndrome.
Okay.
Where you, like in a poppy field, they're all the same height.
Yeah, most of them.
And then there's usually like one that's just sticking out.
Yes.
I want you to be that one that's sticking out. Not just like everybody. Be able to own your space, have your own opinions. And then speak about the tell your story, as you said. Speak like, I've always been different. In my family, they actually think of me as the black sheep, but I'm just different. Also, for a long time, I had my own mental health challenges, which made me even stick out even more. But I used those as my strength. I use that every single day as my strength. Even the mental health challenges, I use them as strength. Yeah. Don't be afraid to stick out and pop out. I'm in banking and look at my hairstyle. Like, guys, the first time I joined that bank, everyone was looking, and I have a nose ring. They're looking at me, wondering, who is this creative? And I have a whole sleeve of tattoos.
When was that?
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yes.
Now you can imagine I've had this for over 20 years. So when I was going into the job market, or I already got my job, this is a very funny story that relates to what you're saying. My mother came one day home and told me, okay, mommy, I'm sorry, but I have to tell this story. She came home and told me, I was in Chama. I was like, okay. Do you know, the ladies in Chama said, kids with dreadlocks on their hair will never get a job. I'm like, okay, mom, do I have a job? She was like, yeah. Did you find it for me? Like, no. And I was like, then I think we are good. I am very fortunate. My dad saw beyond that. You can imagine 21 years. This is like 22 years. This is already a proper Gen Z here. So I can give it, I have some Gen Z in myself. So my dad, fortunately, just used to throw that vibe of, if anyone asks him, hizo ni zile vitu zao za art. You know, zile vitu zao za art. Like, that's how he used to justify anything he never understood about me. He was like, hizo ni vitu zao za art. So nobody can tell him anything. If you ask him, justification, hizo ni vitu zao za art. But you can imagine how forward my parents were. Those days when Mungiki, you are being hunted for having this sort of hair. And now here you are coming into a space where there's a work environment, and surely, who does that? Who does that? I believe we've all transcended you and your nose ring, the hair that you've cut, huku, you know, the multiple rings on your finger. I don't know what other biases people have against each other, and what is stopping you from growing into a position of influence because of how physically you have presented yourself. I don't know what biases you've received as growing up or coming into these industries.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Mine, because I always used to constantly change my hair.
Okay.
Honestly. So growing up, my mother would actually really love taking care of my hair. I used to have like chemicalized hair for like 10 years. So the moment I hit like 12, 13, I said, no, I want to have a fro, natural hair. I take care of it myself. I did the whole like natural hair routines. Paka unaongeza maji ya nini ya mchele, so you can grow long. Like, sawa. But now I started to learn more about my hair, what kind of like texture it was, because of all this seeking for information so that I can get better. Then at some point in time, I said braids were hurting me. I don't want to do braids anymore. I switched and said I want to have sister locks. I had sister locks for like 4 years. And sister locks I had were like actually sideburns at some point. I rocked them for like 4 years, and I'm like, you know what? New look, everything off. And here I am. As per. Not Miss
Beautiful.
Masai look.
Beautiful. But you understand, this is what makes us uniquely
Yeah.
who we are.
Authentic.
I am very authentic in the way we are living our lives. So what would be your advice for the woman out there who's young, who's trying to get her place in your industry, yours? How would you advise her? How would she show up? How do you want her to show up?
Of course, show up a professional.
Yeah.
That's number one. Be professional. But professional has also evolved, right? If you look at what we thought of as professional or banking attire years ago, it has changed. It has changed. What I'd say is, one, be good at what you do first. First of all, let's start there. Be good at what you do. If you're good at what you do, your hair, your tattoos, your whatever
Will
will
see
not
beyond
matter.
that.
They will see
Yeah.
beyond that. So be good at what you do. Second is be yourself. Right? Be authentically you. You do not have anyone else to be in this world. There are no copies of you out here. There are no doppelgangers. There are nothing. It's you. So have the courage to be yourself. Right? And then the last thing is present yourself professionally. Even though you have your dreadlocks or I have this, I can still look neat.
Yes.
I can still be professional in my dressing. I can still present myself in rooms, C-suite rooms and all that to the CEO's office the way I am. So you just need to also learn the culture of where you're working at. Because yes, there are people who just want to wear jeans and a t-shirt to work every day. And those are good spaces. But the more you grow, the more you realize that maybe those t-shirt and jeans will not be there all the time. And you take a different career path, then you have to wear a suit. And you say, I never wear suits. No, be flexible, be agile. You know, But also, my number one thing, okay, I've said many numbers, but number one thing is be authentic. When you're yourself, everything else will fall into place.
Allow me to pause this question.
Yes.
Because authenticity right now is a trend.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to the marketing space and digital marketing. It's like, we want to be authentic, we want to be real, we want to be... So authenticity is actually, I would highly say, is a subjective opinion.
Okay.
Right?
So it's authentic to whom?
It's authentic to you. That's like
Yourself.
how you look at a piece of art. Like your body, your outfit or your body, your hair, everything that you present yourself is a canvas, telling a story. So what's the first impression you want your canvas to say? So it's like now when it comes to now bringing it back into marketing, every art board, every post, every like line of copy that you want to communicate.
Yes.
What's the first impression that you want to actually bring out? Like that's snap factor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that's authenticity because it has an innate reaction to be like, wow. Yeah.
So are brands being authentic also about how they present themselves in terms of, let's first go to women, the role of women in their products, in their services, in their marketing? Or is this just something that is, we have to tick a box because there's that gender issue that we have to deal with? I know I'm bringing it back to gender because we are looking at just ending the Women's Month, and I just want us to continue still living within that spirit of the Women's Month.
I think there are brands that are out there that are being very authentic. Even brands that you work with are quite authentic in that space. What I'd say, I would like to speak on my brand.
Sure.
That's what
does it do? Yeah.
Right now, for us women, and maybe before I get there, I feel like the way you remain authentic is when you go back to your strategy and you focus on your strategy. What is your business strategy? And what pillars are your strategy hinged upon? Right? So they could be sustainability, women, and a bunch of other things.
Yes.
But if you do not work on like financial, let me speak on financial inclusion, like financial inclusion for women, it's when you don't speak of it, or when you go and do CSR activities for women in rural areas and whatnot, teaching them how to bank and everything, but you're not creating products for them to be able to bank,
Yes.
then you're not.
You're not making them bankable.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, thankfully, I'm in the product development team, and we do create products that are for the women that we are looking to improve their financial literacy, improve their financial capabilities in different ways. So that is a pillar in our strategy. So there's nothing I can do. I can't go and say that we won't do this product because it's still hinged on our strategy.
Yes.
And when you do the research, we work with a group of women called Rose Women. Rose Women is women from Mathare, Kawangware, who have small businesses. And for us, we do, as a bank, you think number one thing we do is offer them loans. For us, it's to give them financial literacy, number one thing. Because when you pay back the loan, and then what? You know. So for us, we ensure that they understand what even digital lending is, because now there's many digital lending platforms that they are falling prey to, right? So we're teaching them how to spot fraud, because there are a lot of fraudsters right now.
Yes.
Even for business, there's a lot of them, and they'll reach you on your phone. And
yeah.
they'll call you and tell you, hey,
This week I've gotten one.
Change PIN. You see? So we teach them, we empower them so that they can be better at understanding what can affect their businesses. They can come back for money later. But first things first is what we need to, even within our pillars of our strategy, we agreed that it wasn't about just products. It's first to empower them with education first. And then we create products. And now we are in the process of creating a Chama. Actually, not in the process. We're actually going live with a Chama app that is inspired by those ladies, because they are in small Chamas. It's called BD Chama. Basically teaching what it does is it helps them save their money, and it will help them in MVP2, which is the next version of the app. When it comes, it's going to help them be able to invest.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so for us, it's more of an action, and the action we chose is financial literacy.
Oh,
first.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And you yourself, in the work that you do?
Well, how we are approaching empowering women is actually, I can give one example of Snap, because the whole messaging behind Snap is being authentically you. You desire to have it, or you aspire to be the best that you can be. You want to be your boss as, sorry, my French.
You're lucky it's a podcast.
You want to be your boss. You wanna travel everywhere, but also at the same time you wanna relax. You wanna just be you. And how Snap actually incorporates that is in a very wholesome kind of way, in the essence of storytelling. And now I keep on coming back to storytelling.
No, it's very important.
It's very important. The story behind Snap is actually quite powerful, because that's that whole element of, once you get that have it all moment, you actually be like, oh my goodness, I'm here. And you want to continue actually going through that trajectory. And every moment you want to celebrate that moment of like, I can't believe I've done this.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So that kind of messaging now is like, it's okay to be you. It's okay that even with your fallings, if there's always winnings, because it's not really fallings, it's more of learnings.
Yes.
So the moment you're like learning, be like, okay, fine. How else can I improve myself? How else can I actually get to the next level? How else can I actually now share this information? How else can I build connections with people who think like me?
Like yourself.
How can I get to persuade other females like myself who are in that same role? So we create spaces like this is really marketing, social, Snap Social.
Yes.
That's a space where we actually empower women to actually be authentically themselves. Don't be afraid to be you. Come through and actually connect with people who are like-minded like you are.
Fantastic. So let me go back to yourselves and your work life, let's call it integration, because how do you live within this work that you do and still live life as women in wherever you come from? I don't know. I'll start with you, Shalom. How do you deal with that?
Sorry to my employer, but this is something I have to say. You are a resource to a company you're working with. Yeah? You are a number
Yes.
in that company, right? And I won't mention the band, but there's like a few, like maybe last year or a year before that, there was someone who passed away, and there was an obituary of the person on Friday by that company. And on Monday, there was a job application for his position, the person who died on
Oh
Friday.
my God, that is so sad.
On Monday.
Oh my gosh.
So imagine you're just a resource. So
Let me tell you what they say. You're not just a resource. You're a budget.
You're a budget line.
budget.
You're not even a
budget
resource.
line.
You're just
You're
a
a
budget
budget.
line.
Yes.
So you can always feel, as long as you have the budget, you can fill in the position.
Yes.
You
You see, when you're working, you do the best that you can do, right? But you also have to do the best for you. That's what I was coming to.
Okay.
There is the what they see you as, but what do you see yourself as? You only have one you. And if you collapse here today, things move on.
Of course.
The company continues, it won't collapse. It will continue. So what I'll say is find your balance, not the what people write about or whatever. Find your balance. And I'll add a couple of things also. Do what you love. Right?
100%.
When you're trying to find your balance, figure out what you love. A lot of us don't have hobbies like when we used to have when we were kids. Find those hobbies now. Find those hobbies now. Do what you love, and your job won't feel like a job.
Yeah.
Because you found a real good equilibrium for living life.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
But also, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for everything.
Oh, wow.
Because there's the pressure at work for deliver. I remember when I was on agency, I was like, I gotta work. 10 p.m. I'm still at work. I get home, I can't eat because I don't have strength to cook and all those things. And later on, I just felt like I was depressed. Like it was just a weird cycle, right? But when you find your equilibrium, like things like just fall into place. Like me, I'm at a very beautiful place in my life right now, where there's such a beautiful balance.
Fantastic.
Where I know the things that I love and I do them, but I also love my job. And if it means that on Sunday I have to put 2 hours aside to work,
Yes.
I will, because I love what I do. Yeah. So it's finding it for yourself.
Yes.
Don't go read those self-help books. They said, what do you like?
Yes.
Who are you and what do you
Yeah.
like? First, before you find
have to know
anything.
yourself,
Know
eh?
yourself first.
Ooh, that's a very powerful point. And because once you know yourself, you know what to say no to.
Of course.
Because there's so many
You know your boundaries.
opportunities. There's opportunities, be it good, be it negative. It doesn't matter. They'll be presented to you, and if you don't know what you like and what you don't like, be like, brah. So now do I have to do everything? I'm only one me. How am I gonna split myself
of
and
course,
all this energy? Nah. You need to know yourself. And knowing yourself is actually it's a journey in itself.
Yes, yes.
It's a
Yes,
journey
it
in
is.
itself.
It is. It's so important to understand yourself. Sometimes, unfortunately, it takes very long for you to understand yourself, and you change so many times in your life. And every time you change, it's like a whole different ball game. I keep telling my kids, I tell them, one of my daughters just wants to make money. We are so clear about that. She just wants to make money. So I ask her. So she said, "Oh, Mama, I found out about these doctors. How much do they make?" I ask her, "Do you like what it is?" What I like the most is she says, "I love biology." Then I'm like, at least you love something about it, you know?
True.
So having that clarity of the fact that work first starts with love. If you love something, then it stops being work. And in that case, when you invest your time in it, because I'll call it a time investment, because it doesn't make sense to even go for 1 hour if you don't like it. When you invest your time, you give your all. And then you still go back to what we were discussing, curiosity. You're curious about what you need to do to excel in what you're doing. And in that case, you keep getting better and better and better. So it becomes easier. What's your take on work-life integration?
Work-life integration.
Yes.
Well. Okay, not to mimify everything, but it's a very self-driven balance, to be honest. Because one moment you can look at your priorities and see the kind of timelines that you need to deliver.
Yeah.
And then you also look at your self-development goals, be like, I need to do this by XY time.
Yes.
So now it's like you need to weigh which one is more important. Now that's prioritization now.
Yes.
So when you're in that midst of weighing, it's like, which costs will be more costly? And that's where the weight of work life actually lies. And I'm like, I find myself kind of stumbling onto that kind of situation where I prioritize work more than my life.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to my weekends, I value my weekends very much, guys. Please. When it comes to weekends, now it's like indulgence in myself.
Yes.
And indulgence in the things that I like. To kind of like, not even reward, but say you did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a reward.
But you did a good job.
Yeah. Of course, you recognize
Reward
everything you've
you
gone
reward
through.
yourself.
Yes.
But I wouldn't think it's a reward because the more you feed into it, and because you're doing it out of passion. When you're doing things out of passion, you're not thinking as a reward. It's like, I need to continue. I deserve this. It's not a reward. It's a must. Yeah.
It's a part of what you are. And
Yeah.
who you are and everything.
And maybe
Yes.
maybe to add that, there's this book I'm reading about balancing your hormones. I'm at that age. So there's oxytocin, like the feel-good hormone.
Yes.
The way you trick your mind into doing hard things or to get to a place where you reward yourself. Like your brain is a muscle. So it's a give and take relationship between your brain and your body. So you have to learn how to trick your mind even to find your own balance. So sometimes it looks like a reward, but sometimes it actually is something that you need to give yourself.
100%. Because in that psychology, be like, you get motivated to actually finish it.
Yeah. It gives you the psych to be able to just get to the very end. Oh, fantastic. It can be motivation. It can be reward. I think let's call it what each individual person finds that will get you to that end point. Something that you look forward to. So that life is not just about work. You have to figure out whatever else you need at the end of the day. So producer has been saying, cut. So parting shots, guys.
I think for me, it's very simple. Have the courage to be authentic. Yeah, just have the courage, because in this world we are bombarded by so much, and you only have yourself at the end of the day. So just have the courage to be authentic. Present yourself as you are. Everyone will like you, and if they don't, that's all good. You like you.
Perfect. And yourself? Snap it, eh?
Poetry, the poetry snaps.
Yeah.
What I can actually say as a takeaway is always keep on remaining curious. Feed into that curiosity. That what if. Find the answer for the what if. And continue in that journey, because that's your story. In whatever shape of things you do, that what if is your story. Explore, be curious, find the answer. Then learn from what it is that you're actually asking what if for. Yeah.
Fantastic. So our take homes are curiosity and authenticity.
Yes.
Thank you very much, ladies. It was lovely hosting you.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. I look forward to hosting you again.
Thank you.
100%.
And see you guys at DMAs.
For sure.
Thank
So
you.
exciting.